Hello YouTube.
What's up, you guys?
Me and James back at it again. He has something special to share with you guys.
It's not really special.
It's special, James.
It's okay.
Before I bring out the title, everybody already know what it is. How long have you been working on this?
For about 24 to 25 hours.
24 to 25 hours of role playing. That's a lot of role playing. I'm sorry, I meant to say role play.
What up, YouTube? Myself and Leo, we back at it again. We want to give you some more wisdom, some more knowledge. Today we're going to come to you with a nice title that's called Role Play.
Role play.
We're going to be digging in as to the reason why we feel relationships nowadays are not as successful as they were in the past. We're going to give you differences between a girlfriend and a wife versus a boyfriend and a husband, and how those roles are drastically different. We want to get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's have a good time.
All right. Point. James, what do you mean by role play?
It's simple. You have girlfriend and boyfriend, and then you have husband and wife. All four positions have significantly different roles to be played, and they should not be intermingled. For example, a girlfriend should not be given wifely tasks. A boyfriend should not be given husband-like tasks. We'll get into it a little bit further along the way. The objective of this whole entire video today is to kind of shed some light on why we feel relationships now are not as successful as they were then.
No.
That is probably one of the reasons why I feel it's not like that. For instance, nowadays, we have girlfriends and boyfriends who are willing to play house.
You know, playing house, something that I learned by playing house. You want to know what it is?
What you learn by playing house?
I always get to play daddy. I'm sorry.
Just making it very be clear, like, girlfriend and boyfriends want to play house. What do I mean by that? Girlfriend and boyfriends are very willing to move in with one another.
No.
That is actually a husband and wife-like role. And then you try to establish a household as girlfriend and boyfriend without any changing of last names. Why is that difficult? The reason why it's difficult is because you two are both single individuals. Whether you're girlfriend and boyfriend, you are still technically single. Not a single person is a possession. I do not own you, you do not own her.
No.
Nowadays, it seems as if it's like that. Social media kind of has us in this area where we want to just post and make it seem like everyone is the perfect couple. There's not a lot of individuals who's comfortable with actually showing what it takes to build a dynasty.
No.
Even when you're building a great building, you have to dig a hole, get dirty, and build the foundation from the ground up. No one really wants to show that work.
No.
They'll rather show the pretty pictures, and then when things break down, that's when the ugliness rears its head.
You know, you remind me of something when you said digging up and building that foundation. Remember business of a relationship?
Yes.
Could you just elaborate on that maybe like 15, 20 seconds?
No, so in the business of relationship, I was just basically getting at the fact of whenever you want to get over the hump of whatever difficulties you're going through, you need to dig a hole. By digging a hole, that was just a reference of a self-reflection. Really look at yourself and ask yourself, am I doing everything to be the best version of what I am now? And am I giving myself the best effort to someone else? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then that's where the foundation comes from on that effort. You have to dig a hole, which means you have to have that reflection on yourself to make sure you're at exactly where you need to be in order to receive what God has for you.
All right.
with that being said, like I said, a lot of girlfriends and boyfriends are okay with living the lifestyle of husband and wife. They'll get on the same lease. They'll start sharing bills. They'll try to start building things prematurely. And that 100%, let me not say 100, I would say about 75% is the reason why relationships aren't as strong now.
Yeah.
Because with you doing all the steps as husbands and wife, a woman will get in her head that they are that man's wife. A man will get in their head, I am that woman's husband, but there was not any covenant made.
Yeah.
You did not bring family and friends amongst someone who has the authority of God to bring the two of you together. The largest difference between girlfriend and boyfriend and husband and wife is as husband and wife, in everything God helps you. As girlfriend and boyfriend, it's your friends, it's your mother.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's your own understanding that tries to get you through those tough times.
Yeah.
That is huge. How many of y'all are currently living with your boyfriends? Gentlemen, how many of you are currently living with your girlfriends? How often do you argue? How often do you disagree? How many times have you gone days without speaking to one another because of a disagreement? These are all small signs of why the relationships aren't as strong. And then women and men are stuck years down the line in a relationship where they feel completely unfulfilled. Men will unfortunately go into an era afterwards where they don't really trust women, so they only try to go on a sexcapade.
Yeah.
Women will go into a thing where they do not trust men, so they'll kind of bring up the independent role. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong for a woman to be independent, but to have that mentality just to prove that you don't need a man for anything because you do not want to deal with whatever trauma or frustration you have from a relationship, you're using something very great for something very bad.
Yeah.
Those two things are like huge. However, when it comes to a marriage, like I said, God is the forefront. God is the person who you go to. When you do marriage the right way, you go through 14 months of relationship counseling, whether, the two of you can either agree on a counselor or a church. You'll go through that relationship counseling just so the woman can actually be open to bringing to the table what they dealt with within their life, as well as the man. And now you have a third person party who's impartial on everything, who can kind of help direct you in what direction to go to. Most people do this with their church and the pastor, but for individuals who may struggle with denominations, which is like a larger thing, some people can be Catholic, other people can be Protestant, sometimes the denominations comes into play.
Yeah.
A very close friend or a psychologist, a relationship counselor are very good. By close friends, that means a married couple that's been together for like 20 plus years. That is a great reference to go through when you're in your marriage stages.
Yeah.
Like if you're about to be married, to have a couple who can counsel you, who's been through it for 25 years, is beautiful. You do not get those privileges as girlfriend and boyfriend. You actually mingle with other girlfriends and boyfriends.
Right.
You mingle with their mistakes and their frustrations. Women will hear a story from their woman. My man doesn't pay attention to me. I think he's always on his phone. I think he's flirting with a female. And then the fellas will actually hear from their male friends, dude, you the man of the house, you need to run it. Dude, she needs to do what you need to do, or else you need to find another female.
Yeah.
You see the difference in that? The coaching in a girlfriend and boyfriend relationship is to find another, or to just spew out negativity. When it comes to husband and wife, all it is about building a great foundation and growing upon it through the power of God. Relationships are strong because we are so comfortable about playing house. I do genuinely want to challenge both men and women to try to create the dating scene as what it is as dating. Now, I know this may be dangerous on what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm going to try my best to put as much context on it as possible. When you are dating, you are still single. That does not mean you can go out and date as many men or as many women as you want to, but you are still single. If you come to the plate with the fact that you want to be married, that has to be the conversation from the beginning. It cannot be the conversation that comes up in the middle. A man and a woman has to have in their mind when they're coming to the dating scene, this is my objective. Nowadays, most men objective is I need some sex. Most women objective, I need to see a man who is stable.
Yeah.
Now, stability is a great trait for a husband. However, a woman who's only seeking that one trait in a man is not in her wifely stages yet. She's growing to it. Once again, not saying that's anything bad, but if you use it to be coddled, if you use it as an excuse to be catered to, then it turns into something that is actually bad. We have to be careful. Stop being so willing to move in with one another very, very quickly. I've been dating this man for 3 months. He seems stable. Let's move in. You're overstepping way too many boundaries. You remember the grade school nursery rhyme where children would be like, Stephanie and Dan is sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
K-I-S-S-I-N-G. I bring up that nursery rhyme to bring up a point on how children have it right. You want me to tell you why? Yes, they will sit there and say these two individuals are kissing in a tree, or K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
Mm-hmm.
But then it follows up by saying, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage. Children had it right, and that's such the funniest thing. First comes love, then comes marriage. Back to back. You fall in love, then you get married, and then you have children. How many of us have skipped step 1 and 2?
Yeah.
We just get right to the children. We just get right to the children. Because it's treated as if it's a reward and not a gift. Men will pride themselves on their sexual strength. I'm never like the man you had before. I will do whatever I need to bring you to that climactic stage. And when a man professes that he's sexually attracted to a woman, most women, some women, will use that statement as a carrot that they will dangle in front of his face. And that will be the goal. If he does all of this for me, I know what I can give him to keep him.
Yeah.
Where's the ring? Where's the commitment? Because you're only having him commit to the sex. Commitment is not hard when you are able to address certain aspects. What do I mean by that? Commitment is you trusting and believing that you, as a person, are capable of loving someone through it all. It's not yourself committing yourself to that person. It's you trusting yourself that you can love a person through it all. You see the difference? Like a person, when they hear the word commitment, they feel ball and chain. You sit there, you feel like you're shackled, like you're handcuffed. And most men is like, I'm not going to sit there and commit myself to one female with all this fish in the sea. And most women are like, I don't know if I can commit myself to this man because every man that I find myself with, they always want this or they always want that. So I'm going to just leave it in that area. I'm going to leave our relationship where a man wants it, and that's just sex. So I'm just going to use my body, I'm going to use my words, and I'm going to use these things just to keep them where I want them. And it's sad because women and men get so comfortable in a girlfriend and boyfriend stage, but they never feel fulfilled. They always got that little bit of emptiness. They always get in their head, I do too much to get so little, but what have you committed yourself to? If you are thinking you are a wife, you have committed yourself to a girlfriend. If you think you're a husband, you just committed yourself to a boyfriend if you're okay with staying in that realm. How do we go from girlfriend and boyfriend to husband and wife? In your dating stages, let it be clear on what you want without any fear. I'm going to be very realistic when I say there are people nowadays who just want sex. Find a person.
That's what it sounds like.
You get comfortable in that role. How do we evolve? You have to let it be known what you want to front. Most people nowadays are okay with having a sexual relationship. I don't want to encourage it, but I'm trying to be a realist. Men and women, find a woman and a man who only wants to be in that particular lifestyle. Please do not waste the life of a person who wants to be a husband or a wife. Like, if that's the lifestyle you want to live, I don't want to encourage it, because it's just literally going to leave you empty, because you're going to eventually get to the mindset that you feel you're only worth your body. And when you become of age, you're going to understand that you're worth a lot more. That's both for men and women, period. A man is going to find himself, when he gets to that 28 to 35 range, that he wants to be more stable, he wants to settle down and all that. So even if he's out here getting as much tail as possible, eventually that's going to be empty, because it's doing the same thing over and over again. You're not going to get the same fulfillment. You're not going to be able to get the same high that you got from the first time. However, when it comes to a marriage and the last name changes, and you literally have a person who fights as hard as you every day, and when you know that you can turn to God over anyone else to help you through by exposing you, not by, God, this girl is getting on my nerves, I need you to help me out through this. What God is going to do is put a mirror right in front of yourself and let you see exactly who you are. Yeah. She's a reflection of you. The Bible says two become one flesh. If your wife is retaliating to you in a very negative manner, what are you doing passive aggressively? Most men is going to sit here and think like, I don't do nothing aggressive to my wife. I don't do nothing. But men act in passive aggression. We don't talk. In the midst of our trials and tribulation, we will turn into a hermit crab and not try to say anything. When you have a woman who wants to be in tune with you and needs to hear what she can do. And that allows a little bit of a disconnection in the in-between, because she's going to want to talk to you. She's going to say, babe, I have you. I want to help you through this. And men is just like, I don't want to tell you because I don't want to seem weak. I don't want to feel terrible. Guess what's happening in that relationship? You're making it individual. I don't want to feel weak. I don't want to seem this. You're making it about you, when the I is really the both of you. Expose that. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what happened at the job. I think I may lose it. Last time it took me a year to get a job, and I don't want us to go through a financial situation. Most men struggle with, most men's pride issues come from a financial place. When it comes to us being able to run a household, whenever that particular area falters, that's when we tend to shell up. So women, if you want to know the reason why it's hard for men to communicate, that probably is the one thing. When it really falls on the ability of holding down a household, that's where we struggle the most, whether it comes with work or even when it comes to our mental. That's a struggle. It really is a struggle. When it comes to women, it'll start to fall off, because a woman is that nurturing spirit. Yeah. They want to pour into you. They want to help grow you as well. And the less and less communication you give them, the more and more they feel they're doing something wrong. You see how one thing affects both and not just you. That's the difference. Objectively speaking, as I said, we wanted to talk about why we feel relationships nowadays are not as successful. Keeping it plain and simple, there's too many girlfriends and boyfriends who's trying to play husband and wife without the commitment. And that's something that needs to stop. Be comfortable with having your own places. Be comfortable with having open conversation. Now, there are certain aspects where it calls for that, but a man should not be comfortable with being jobless, with just playing the video game all day and all that stuff. If you move in, play your part, but ultimately work towards the goal of marriage. Yeah. If y'all living together for 19 years in your mama's basement with one sheet and a mattress on the floor next to the washer and dryer, every once in a while you can, when the toilet flush, you hear it just run through the pipes. Like, brother, we need to fix yourself. All right, let's get it together. We just gonna get it together. But we need to stop playing house. We need to stop being comfortable with playing that house role. Establish yourself as individuals. Let it be that way. Have the conversations be about unity and coming together. Yeah. And then ultimately, when you do it that particular way, you keep things separate because you are single, right? Mm-hmm. You keep things separate as you're single. When you start having those husband and wife conversations and you start going through marriage counseling, guess what happens? Y'all start looking for the house that works for the both of you together. Yeah. It's not where a man has to come into a woman's house and then adjust certain things so he can feel comfortable, or vice versa. A woman coming to live with a man, I'm gonna put my womanly touch on it. And then the man feels uncomfortable because he's like, this is my house, and then the woman is gonna feel uncomfortable because it's mine. If you do it the right way, you leave it separate, y'all can go out on dates, you have your conversations. I'm gonna say abstain from sex until marriage because that's what it says biblically. Realistically, a lot of people nowadays, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I don't even want to touch on it because I don't necessarily want to veer anything off, but I'm very realistic about certain things. My realistic approach on that is if something happens, no staying the night. Because you're still playing that house role. Yeah. You wake up to your wife the very next morning. I don't want to wake up to my girlfriend the very next morning. That might sound messed up. I want to wake up to my wife the very next morning. Because you can tolerate it when the breath stank and y'all both got the morning breath and neither one of y'all showered and you got the slob on your face. You can tolerate that. But like you start looking for the houses together. You start figuring out what vehicle fits for the both of you, if not one, two. You start thinking as a team when you could do it that particular way. And stop putting a leash on one another. Hot ham and cheese, like as a freaking girlfriend and boyfriend, it's always these rules and expectations. Now, if marriage is the goal, then it's understood. But if that's not the conversation, once again, I am not telling people to date as many people as they want to, but there has to be that initial conversation. I'm looking for a commitment, and it has to be from the beginning. It cannot be in the middle nor the end. You have to set that up front so you don't waste your time. It's the one thing you don't get back. You cannot waste your time. Girlfriend and boyfriends need to stop playing husband and wife. Don't be so comfortable to move in with one another right away, specifically because that's just not how the role is supposed to be set up. If you want to be a wife, if you want to be a husband, let that be something you speak about up front and right away, immediately in the dating stages. And lastly, make sure you learn how to appreciate one another and pour into one another unconditionally. Don't expect nothing in return. Just do it because you know it's the right thing to do. Appreciate you guys listening. I hope whatever was said today was something fruitful. And I want you all to continue to grow within your relationship. Appreciate the support. Love y'all.
Love you guys.